The mariachi festival theme this year is focused on the soldadera. Now, this was the female soldier who went into combat alongside men during the Mexican Revolution. The majority of these women led ordinary lives, but took up arms during the fight, the war for freedom, and became extraordinary creatures. So, Linda, why did you decide to focus on the soldadera as the theme this year?
Well, since it was the 100th anniversary of the revolution, we knew we had to pay some attention to that. But what I really was thinking about was, what did the women endure during the war? You know, because we see all the glory of the men winning this battle, and there are a lot of strings of dates, you know, that were important. But what was the real day-to-day life like on the ground? Women, you know, they were made into widows. They were plunged into abject poverty. Their male children were stolen away from them as young as 8 and 10 to fight in the war. And they were the ones that supported the troops and were the quartermasters and supplied the food and traveled with the troops and took care of them, made sure that they were housed, made sure that they set up the camps. And then, of course, they took up arms and they also fought alongside the men. And in many cases, if their husband or whoever it was they were traveling who was in command fell, then they would take up his rifle and command the troops in his place.
Dolores, how would you define the modern soldadera?
Well, I think that's a very important model, the soldadera, because again, in the Latino culture, women are pretty much relegated to the home. You know, you go from your father's home to your husband's home, and to take care of your grandchildren when you become older. And so there was really no existing model for the activist woman. You know, you had the Virgin Mary, who was the Guadalupe, who was the very pure person, or the woman who was in the home. And here we have a different model, the soldadera, somebody who was out there fighting for justice, fighting side by side with the men. And this is, of course, a model that we need in today's world and that we have in today's world. When we see our young women at the colleges or the high schools that are out there marching for immigrants' rights or marching for women's rights. And so this is the soldadera model that we have today. And we know that we need women out there, because when women, especially the woman in the home, when she set the traditions and the philosophy of the family, and when that family is then committed to social justice, you're going to have the whole family is going to be committed to social justice. And we know that we need women's voices and women's wisdom and women's work to be able to right the wrongs of this world. You know, women need to be in positions of power if we're going to make the major changes that we need, and eventually, if we're going to have peace in the world, we need to have women making those decisions.
You're honoring Dolores, one of the originals, I think, in terms of the soldadera here in the U.S. and all of the work she's done. How do you feel about this honor? You've had many honors, but you know, you deserve them all. And this one, how do you feel about this?
This is very special
this
to
is
be
your 80th birthday.
To my 80th birthday, and to be honored, of course, at the Mariachi Festival with Linda, whom somebody that I really admire and look up to, is very, very special. But you know, the thing is, for my 80th birthday, what I am trying to promote is, again, this whole idea that we can change things and that we shouldn't give up. Be like the soldaderas, right? That we know it's a struggle, but that we can't give up, and that we've got to keep working and we've got to keep organizing. And one of the things that I hope to promote with my 80th birthday is to bring all of our movements together. We have a very strong immigrant rights movement, but we're kind of isolated. You know, we had a couple 100,000 people marching in Washington, D.C. just recently on immigrants' rights, got no coverage from the English-speaking press. We had a couple of thousand teabaggers who had a lot of press from the major media. And so we've got to get our other movements, the environmental movement, the women's movement, LGBT movement, we've got to bring our movements together, because in order to achieve the social justice that we need, we have the numbers and we have the people power, but we've got to bring these movements together. And my 80th birthday, I want to use it just to remind people that we have power, but that we've got to take action, that we've got to do it at the grassroots level. The only way that we can make the changes is that we've got to make them. We can't depend on President Obama. We can't depend on anybody else. It's got to come from us from the bottom, and that's what I hope to use my 80th birthday to continue the struggle of the soldadera.
We have 1 minute.
Oh,
before.
sorry, I'm running out of time.
No, that's okay. That's who you are, and that's why you do what you do. But what I wanted to ask you about you're going to also be honoring the 50th anniversary of Los Bomberos.
Oh, what a band. Now, see, those guys are the ones more than anything that taught me, because I knew the songs, you know, I grew up with mariachi. We had it for baptisms, we had it for weddings, we had it for whatever, you know, serenades. But to learn to sing that style as a grown-up professional singer, that took some doing. I had to really, really work hard. And you know, I went over there, I'd come this person, sort of fugitive from American pop music, going, I want to sing the songs I learned when I was a kid because they were better, you know, and they could have really given me an attitude. They really could have, you know, who's this girl? Who does she think she is? She's coming to sing the songs of Lola Beltran and Miguel Aceves Mejia and all these great heroes. And they never did. They just were there like brothers to me. They really helped me. They helped me learn it, even though every single one of those guys can get up on the stage and sing any of those songs better than I can. And they usually can. They get a big star, you know, the mariachi's backing them, and they're falling all over the place, and the mariachi is always there to support them. If I made a mistake, they were there for me. And Nati Cano is the one that's really tried to keep the traditions alive. They do modern stuff, all the bands do, but he really teaches them. He's got them rooted in the tradition so that when they create their modern you know, interpretation of it, it's got the seed of the original culture really strongly planted in there.
Well, we look forward to them at the festival and to you being honored, Dolores.
They are fabulous.
Thank you.
Well, I think mariachis came from the people, the revolution came from the people, and we've got to continue the tradition of the mariachi and the soldaderas. Sí se puede.
Han nacido en mi rancho dos arbolitos que parecen gemelos, y desde mi casita los veo solitos.